Hey, fellow travel lovers, Cheryl here. Just wanted to let you know that this week's episode is actually a part two of our interview with Alex Bell. So if you want to go back and listen to part one, last week you'll get to hear all about his trip to Romania. And then this week we have our follow up questions and some other conversation we had, and then the wish you were here. Enjoy!
To India and Ireland, round Africa and back again. We don't really need to know just where we'll go. Maybe Canada, then to Brazil, then through the Alpine foothills. All I really want to know is, can we go? Oh baby, can we go? Round and around the globe.
So, Alex, what's your next trip?
So my next trip for work
This
is
short one that you're about to
well,
do?
okay. So my next trip for work is I'm flying to Virginia on Saturday. I have a resort shoot. So we're going to a pretty nice 5-star resort in Virginia for 5 days of work, which sounds really nice. It will be a lot of fun. It's also carrying cameras around in the 90 degrees and raining and 100% humidity. So while the amenities are nice, it's going to be a pretty rough one. So that's what I'm doing for
Yeah.
work. And then I get back, and the next day, I'm going to 5 countries that I've never been to before. So I'm flying into Greece, and then gonna stay there for a day and take a bus to Albania, and then take a bus to Montenegro, and then take a bus to Croatia, and then take a bus to Bosnia, and then take a bus back to Croatia, and then fly home.
Oh my goodness. Yikes.
It's gonna be a pretty wild trip. I think I only really have one day in each city that I'm in, but I show up at noon and have until I fall asleep that night to see a part of the world that I've always been fascinated with and never gotten to spend any time.
Well, of all of
That's
those
so
places, I've been to one of them, Croatia, and Croatia is beautiful. I think before we started recording, you mentioned you're going to Hvar, and Hvar is pretty cool. So I do think, and Split, and I think I would walked through Hvar for 45 minutes or something, very briefly. But Split is great. It's a great city, and the islands out there by Hvar are amazing. If you you're only there for a day though, right?
For a day, yes.
Yeah. Okay. If the weather's super nice and if you're looking for something to do, there's some really cool caves that you can take a boat out to. There's the Blue Cave and then there's the Green Cave, and they're both very cool.
Dang.
So those are pretty cool if that's something that if you're bored and looking for something to do.
I don't know if I'm necessarily going to be bored, and Hvar is actually the only city
doubt
in
it.
which I have one friend who's already going to be there,
Perfect.
Andrew Elder.
Who I also know.
Yep. So, and he's...
Tell him hi for me.
I will, 100%. I'll send him that you send. Am I allowed to flip this question back on you guys? I'm fascinated to see, what are you guys planning? I want to know where you're going.
Well, actually, our final question for you is, do you have any travel questions for us? So you are allowed to this one time.
Oh, I
You're
have
allowed to ask us
5
that
questions for you
question,
guys,
so.
but I'll keep them short.
Okay, you can ask us questions. It's all good.
Yeah.
So where we're going, in December, I'm going on my honeymoon, and we're going to go to Prague, Dresden, and Amsterdam.
Oh my gosh, that
So,
sounds amazing.
Pretty stoked about that. Never been to those places before, so that will be very cool. My fiance has never been to Europe before, so
And you're going for the
Yeah.
Christmas markets.
yeah, we're going for the Christmas markets, which is going to be so cool. So I've never been to Europe in Christmas time, so Christmas
Wow.
travel is going to be cool.
What excites
Yeah.
you most about that?
Oh gosh, so I have so much excitement. I mean, the Christmas markets is a big thing for sure. Just getting to see a different culture do Christmas, I think, is going to be very cool. And then getting to be abroad with my husband. Like, I mean, that's just going to be really cool too. Like, because we've done travel in the States together, and so it's going to be really fun to do travel in a different country or several different countries together. So, and keep figuring out like our travel style together. And so, yeah, that's going to be
That's
good.
awesome.
Ryan, where are you going next?
I do not currently have any next trips. Well, okay, that's not true. I don't have any that are for sure happening, I guess. So I am hoping to go to Disneyland and Galaxy's Edge in February. That's my hope. And yes, maybe I'll come see you, Alex.
Yes, I'll go with you. It's so good.
But we'll
There
have
you
to
go,
see.
Ryan.
Do I?
You were looking for a buddy to
Yeah.
maybe be there with.
There you go.
There you
So
go.
that might happen. We'll see. It's potential. I've taken the days off. Well, I've put in for the days off work already, and then I'm trying to do my next student trip to Puerto Rico, but I currently have 0 students signed up. So we'll see if that
Oh.
happens. But so that's why it's like, well, it might be a trip. It might not be a trip. We'll see. So.
If you had like 200,000 airline miles just like dumped into your account today, where would you start planning a trip for?
That's really hard.
Ooh.
Well, so I'm trying to think of a way to like get around your question, and be like, well, can I do like an around the world trip?
Yeah, that was my first thought too.
Because like I haven't been to New Zealand yet, and if I've got like a lot of miles, like that would be an expensive trip, so that could be a good thing to do. But I have so many friends in like Central and Eastern Europe that, you know, like this last time when I went back to Slovenia, I just didn't have enough time to see everybody that I wanted to see. You know this, Alex. You have even more friends over there than I do. And so it's just like I feel like if I get to travel wherever I want, I have this pull between going to see things that I kind of want to see because I'm interested in seeing them, and going to see the people that I want to see. And not that they have to be mutually exclusive, but yeah. So I
I'll
think
take the
that's the
multi-city.
battle that goes on in my.
I'll take the multi-city trip, the Auckland to Ljubljana and then back home.
Yeah, there's a direct flight. That's a direct flight,
Totally,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I think it would probably something like that. I also would love to go. I've never been to Europe, not in the summertime, and I'd love to go for Christmas. I'd love to see Ljubljana at Christmas. I've seen some of my friends there have like sent me pictures of like how they decorate the city and stuff like that, and so I'd love to do some of that at some point.
I
in
went
time.
on a first date with a girl in Ljubljana at Christmas time. Snow lightly falling, and the decorations were it was so weird. The Christmas decorations were like themed about life that year. So we're like walking down the
Okay.
street and I look up and it's like sperm leading to an egg as their Christmas decorations over the street. And I was like, this is so weird. I don't know how to handle this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That
let's
is
just
a
hope-
cultural difference.
Oh my
Let's
goodness.
hope that when you go to Ljubljana at Christmas, they've themed it a little bit differently, because that one was a little wild.
Yeah, but was it just extra awkward because you were on a first date?
A little bit, yeah. Oh man, that was pretty funny.
Was that with Gwen?
That was with Gwen, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That was funny, and we she's so funny. We just like totally rolled through it,
Yeah.
and we laughed
Sure.
about it, but it was still one of those like, oh hey, this is something that we do in Slovenia, I guess. Cool. All right. Ryan, what excites you about New Zealand? That was your first gut reaction, and I want to know why.
Yeah, lots of things excite me about New Zealand. For some reason, because it's so far away, that makes it seem more interesting. Because it's the farther away it is, the less likely it is that I will probably end up there, just because of the expense. Right, like I would have to save for a lot longer to be able to do a trip like that. And there's so many cool science things in New Zealand. I mean, like the glowworm caves, like just that alone would be amazing. and then just all of the geologic stuff that they have, and like they heat, like I don't remember which city, but like one of the cities I think on the south end of the North Island I think is like geothermally heated, and like there's such cool like science stuff that is incredibly interesting to me. And that actually, more and more, those are the things that actually intrigue me the most about places to go. So like when you were talking about Romania and you mentioned like the mud pot volcanoes, like that was like, okay, now I definitely have to go. Like Dracula's castle, like that, yes, that actually sounds pretty cool too. But like that was a thing where it's like, okay, I would love to see that. Or like I have zero desire to go here except, so like Ethiopia. Like Ethiopia is on my list because you've got the Great Rift Valley that's in Ethiopia where two continental plates are splitting apart. And so there's all sorts of crazy cool things there. It's probably 1,000,000 degrees in Ethiopia, and I don't like hot. So there's a lot of reasons for me not to go to Ethiopia. But like things like that, like those are things that stick in my brain. And oftentimes other people are not interested in those things the same way that I am. And so finding people who will see the things that I want to see and do the things that I want to do can be more challenging. So if I have like carte blanche, I can go wherever I want, I'm probably going to pick some of those things. That was a long answer to your question.
I like it. My grandpa once was like, hey, let's take a road trip. And I was like, cool, grandpa, let's do it. And he's a geologist. So we went out to a rock formation in the middle of Nevada. And he's like, this is the Breccia impact. And let's go walk around on rocks. And I'm going to show you how the seafloor did this. And I'm like a kid. And I'm like, it's 95 degrees out. We're hiking around mountains in the middle of Nevada for like 8 hours. And he's like, oh, look at this. See how there's like little coral in here? And I'm like, Grandpa, this is miserable.
Oh my goodness.
Don't put that on. Grandpa might listen to this. He might not be. But yeah, it was very interesting because I was like going, like he took our family. He would always do these family vacations where he's like, we're going to go river rafting down the Grand Canyon. We're like, yes, this is awesome. And then every time we'd stop, he's like, all right, now come up here. There's a really cool rock formation. And we're like, oh no. And we'd go on these like geo talks. We're like sitting and Grandpa's like, now the Vishnu schist was formed in the, like, Ryan knows about the Vishnu schist. And I've had enough of that Vishnu schist. Okay.
So basically you're saying you don't want to travel with me is what you're saying, Alex.
What I'm saying is if it's in a...
He's saying that Ryan is his grandpa. Is what he's saying.
What I'm saying is if you need a good travel partner, boy, do I have the guy for you.
Cheryl, you haven't answered the question yet.
Oh my goodness. Which question?
No,
are we
I
on?
asked
This
you
is
about
going
what you
quite the
liked about
rabbit
New
trail.
Zealand.
And I told
Yeah,
you.
that was the question.
That was
No, but the question before that was if you had like whatever 200,000 miles to go wherever you wanted, where would you go? And I said New Zealand, and then I was like, so
Yeah,
Cheryl still hasn't answered that
yeah.
question
Okay.
yet.
That's because I didn't like your answer. It was like, oh well, I'm trying to plan a trip with students, but I'm like, no, I want to know where you want to go. So that was my way of getting the real answer and not the like.
There it is.
So
You already
you're
got my
saying
real
that-
answer.
So hold on. So you're saying that you think me traveling with students is lame and not worthy of actual travel. That's
what I'm
I hear you saying.
is I'm thinking that you're trying to curate a student experience, but I want the Ryan curating the Ryan experience, which it sounds like if no students sign up for this, it might just be Ryan doing the Ryan experience in Costa Rica.
No,
anyway.
so you don't.
Except for it won't be funded. So
I won't
Yeah.
travel. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons. One, not the only, but one of the reasons I do student trips is because that's how I can afford to travel. But it's a science focused trip. Like I'm planning it with 2 other science teacher friends, and we're going to go to Arecibo. I'm super excited about going to Arecibo. You probably have no idea what Arecibo is. It's a big giant radio telescope. If you've seen the movie Contact,
Oh
it's in
yeah,
the beginning of the
dude!
movie Contact.
I've seen
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
On pictures.
Okay. We're gonna go. We're gonna do a night cruise and swim in a bioluminescent bay
Oh, that's pretty dope.
with the dinoflagellates.
I want to do that part.
Yep. We're gonna like go in the only national forest that's a tropical rainforest, because Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, so they have U.S. national forests and stuff. So anyway, it's a whole bunch of sciencey things. So
It sounds awesome.
It
I'll sign
will
up.
be if
I
it
mean,
happens.
do you need a +1 or what?
I've asked him that so many times. I'm like, how many more chaperones do you need?
Mm,
And then he's like, well, we're barely making it work with.
Because as right now, we have 0 people signed up, as I said. So if we end up with 30 people signed up, then maybe. You never know.
ooh, that was a maybe. That was definitely not a no. You're saying there's a chance.
There's a chance.
Alex is going to come to your school and recruit students to go on this trip.
Hey, it works
so
for
that
me.
He can go on it.
I'm in. I know science. My grandpa's a geologist.
There you go. Yep.
I do have.
Science.
Oh, I do have a lot more questions, so I'll just do like a really quick speed round, just because I'm like really interested in
Oh,
you
boy.
guys.
We've never had a guest as interested in us.
I know. This is very fun. I like it.
All right, speed rounds. First off, let's talk points. Are you guys trying to like accumulate points on a credit card so that you can take trips?
Alaska Airlines.
Okay.
No.
No.
Wait, are you just here to sell us a credit card? Is this why
Well,
you're on our
now that you
podcast
mention
today?
it, the
No,
Chase
but
Sapphire
actually,
prefer-
Cheryl, we do need to have Alex come on for a different episode to talk about how he strategizes all of those things, because he's very, very intentional about all of that. When we got together, we actually talked a little bit about that, but I didn't have enough time
Yeah,
to
no.
like really dive into it. So
Well,
we will
that's
definitely have to
interesting.
have Alex on again.
If you have them, I mean, Cheryl, you know what's up. If you have the money and you're spending the money instead of using a debit card, and you can use a credit card and pay it off every month, then that's just miles and miles and miles towards a trip. And I've been doing that for 11 years. Just like
So you just don't ever use them?
no, well, because I have to get status every year. So I'm also
But so you use the miles to get status?
no, I have to pay the money for the flights to get the status, because now what airlines are doing is you have to like fly a certain number of miles and pay a certain amount of money, and I can't like just use the miles because then I don't hit those like money things, and
Oh,
it's so
I
dumb.
see.
So now it's like I'm looking to go to Europe, and I have friends who are doing a barbershop quartet concert in Dublin in September, and I'm like, all right, I gotta go over there and support the boys in Dublin. Because
You
what
gotta.
happens after that? We go out with a bunch of Irishmen who know drinking songs. Have you ever gone out and sing drinking songs with Irishmen? I haven't, and that sounds hilarious. So I think I have to do it.
Well, I hate to break it to you, because I was just in Ireland.
Oh, no.
And
Don't say
one
it.
of the Tom who I was traveling with, that was one of the things that was on his list he wanted to experience. We never found that.
Well, Ryan, what are you doing in a month? Because
He's teaching.
I'm teaching school.
oh well, womp womp.
Remember I'm
Oh.
lame like that.
That's no, you're useful to society. For sure.
Okay, back to speed
Okay.
round. Here we go. This is very speedy.
Speed round. So you are planning a trip to whatever country, and you want to figure out like what is the cool thing to do there. What are the cool cities there? What's your like go-to trusted resource of how to find things to do in a city?
Mine is Google and looking at a ton of different websites and seeing the commonalities. So not just trusting the one, but seeing like what is everybody talking about, you know? So
Nice.
Yep.
Ryan?
I will typically look at Rick Steves' travel book. Well, I'll get a bunch of travel books, but oftentimes Rick Steves. I will look at TripAdvisor and Atlas Obscura.
Nice. Atlas Obscura is a good one.
It's fun.
Oh, it's good. I had a friend, Jeff Prawl, actually recommended, I think there's like a New York Times thing that's like 36 hours in a certain city. And,
Ooh.
oh cool.
and I think what they do, but don't quote me on this, I haven't looked it up in like a month and I forget what it is. But it's what the writer will do is they'll like spend 36 hours in a city, and it'll be like dinner and then the full next day and then breakfast. And they'll like
Oh,
tell you
interesting.
all of the things that they did. And so it's like good starting points and like cool restaurants
Yeah.
and things like that. Do you know your favorite airplane to fly on?
No.
No.
What is our favorite airplane to fly on?
No. Were you not listening to him?
No, I
depends
know
on the
I was, but I
individual.
want him to tell
Oh,
us.
for
Oh.
his.
Can we do like a BuzzFeed quiz to like find out our favorite
Sure.
airplane
I
to
love
fly
it.
on?
Do
you
like?
make us
Yes,
a
I will
quiz?
right now. Do you like going long distances? We'll start with you, Cheryl. Do you like going long distances or short distances?
Long.
Do you like your plane single decker or double decker?
What if I don't care?
Okay, perfect. Do you prefer like a cooler plane or a better passenger experience?
Cool. Do you mean temperature or
Like it's like
bad?
an awesome looking plane.
Better experience.
Okay, and then that narrows me down to two.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. You should make this into an online quiz.
I'm sure they're
You
already
totally
out there.
should. You totally should.
I've actually never flown the second one, so I don't know what to ask. Okay, are you a window or an aisle seat?
Window.
Okay, Dreamliner, Boeing 787.
Dreamliner.
Yep.
Boeing 77. Boeing what?
787.
787.
So, first off, the windows are massive. So, like, even for a tall guy like me, I can, like, see everything out there. And then they, like, dim, too. So, it's like, if it's, like, too bright and you don't want to, like, blind
What?
everyone else, you just, like, dim it down a little bit. And so it's, like, almost like putting on, like, one shade of glasses and then another pair of glasses and then a darker pair of glasses. So that you can, like,
Holy
still, like,
moly.
see outside, but then not blind the cabin. And then if it's, like, the middle of the night and everyone's, like, well, quote unquote night, and everyone's sleeping, you don't have some punk kid who just like throws open the window and is like, what's going on
Yes.
outside? And then the whole plane gets blinded and everyone wakes up and you're like, man, this kid sucks. So they'll like, in the front, they'll like make sure that everyone's like windows stay locked at dim. So like some kid can't like wake up the plane. But the thing for the passenger experience is they humidify the cabin so that you're like, you're not dry. They also pressurize it
that.
to sea level instead of like the usual 10,000 feet. So like your sinuses don't go as crazy, and the
Wow.
air intake for the system is like near the front of the plane. So most planes it's like kind of somewhat near the engine. So sometimes you'll get like little engine fumes come in. Like if you ever smelled that on a plane, where you're like, that smells like that shouldn't be there. You'll never get that on a Dreamliner. All right, speed round. Ryan, long distances or short distances?
I think I'm gonna be like almost exactly the same as Cheryl. Because I mean, long distances as far as where I want to go.
Cool.
I don't particularly like long distances on the plane, but
So
I want to go places that are long distance.
okay, so your dream plane is going to be a long distance plane because it'll take you far.
Yep, exactly.
Let's do passenger experience or in like the impressive nature of the plane.
Oh, definitely the passenger experience.
Aisle seat or window seat?
It depends on the plane.
Okay, you're probably a Dreamliner as well, but we'll because we're gonna shake it up. We're gonna do a double decker. So for you, your dream plane is the Airbus A380. So it's a
That sounds right.
It's a double decker plane the whole way down.
Yeah.
So you can sit on the top deck, even in peasant class. You don't have to.
What?
Yeah. So you know how like the 747, you have to be in like business class to sit on like the top of the nose, and it always felt like the most elite. Like, and I
Oh
was
yeah.
also just
I thought only the fancy people sat upstairs.
no, on the A380,
Not
you can
for
be
you.
a total peasant, and you can sit in like 98K, and you're still on the top level in the back. And so
Holy moly.
the plane is like so big so that when it flies, you don't feel like you're flying. And if there's any turbulence, this plane's like, no, I weigh like 18 times the amount of any other plane in the sky. So there's like no turbulence. And you'll be like flying, and at the end of the wing, there are these three little ailerons that just are like pilots call them the piano keys. They'll just like kind of like play with the wind and just like stabilize the plane. And it's like a
Wow.
song and dance. And then you take off in this thing, and it feels like you're going like 35 miles an hour down like the 405 or something, and you're like, man, how in the world can this plane take off the ground? And then it like takes off, and you're like, this is wild. And then like the cabin, I usually fly British Airways, so then the cabin comes on like really quiet, and he's like, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for flying British Airways. And you're just like, this feels like the classiest thing I've ever done. So, Ryan, I want you to fly a British Airways A380, and I think you'll be thrilled.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay.
Oh man.
Speed round. Next question.
There's nothing speedy about this.
Well, okay. I'm not asking you to tell me stories.
Go ahead.
No, you're telling us stories.
No, I'm helping you find your dream plane. All right, I'll just do.
It's true. It's true.
I'll just do 2 more things. What do you collect?
Oh,
Like while traveling.
Yeah, what do you
we
collect?
both collect the same thing.
Starbucks City mugs.
What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Which
I have
collection?
about 30 of them. Yeah. And I only get them from places I've been to. So I've had people like offer to get me them, and I'm like, no. I need to have visited the place. Otherwise, it's not really an accurate.
Okay, where do you
Collection.
keep them? Because right now, I collect everything like flags, rocks, scarves. But I have all of these Starbucks mugs. And I'm like, I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what to do with them. They're just kind of chilling.
Well,
Okay,
first
so
you take them out of the box.
Well,
Yeah, that's gonna be one of the
But I
steps.
don't have any place
yeah,
to
and like
put
take
them.
the sticker off the bottom because that sticker is kind of annoying. Yeah, so mine I keep. I just moved, and the kitchen. It's like totally standard apartment kitchen, but the kitchen cabinets. There's enough space between the cabinet and the ceiling that I put them all in a line, all along there, and they all fit perfectly. And so
Like you hang them.
that also means I'm like. No, just they're sitting on top of the cabinets between the cabinet and the ceiling.
do you use
okay.
them?
Well, I mean, I did before, like when I lived in a tiny house and had them on my like open shelving, and it was lovely and beautiful. But now my fiance has his mugs, and so we have like other mugs that we actually use, and then we look at the Starbucks mugs up there. So the dream would be to have like scattered open shelving, and then you also use them. But right now, I'm not allowed to travel anywhere else, I don't think, because there's no more space on top of the cabinets. So that's a little scary.
I mean, is there a dresser in your bedroom? You can just start stacking them.
Just go around the whole apartment, just glue them on the ceiling or
Yeah.
something, and call it good.
Ooh,
So.
there you
Okay.
go.
What's the what collection do you collect? Is it the You Are Here collection? Is it the
I mean, I wish it was only one, but unfortunately, it's an assortment because in the U.S. they discontinued the city mugs and just have the You Are Here ones now. So now I guess I have some You Are Here ones.
Are those the ones that look like they're for kids?
Yeah.
Oh no, those are the
Mm-hmm.
Been There ones. The You Are Here ones are good. There's a new collection
Well, they
called
both kind of look like they're for kids.
Bin-
Yeah.
Like they're like
Been Here ones
multicolored
are-
or whatever, as opposed to like the more classy looking ones.
Yes.
The Been Here
yeah.
ones are definitely worse. The You Are Here ones, like I could stand. This is the You Are Here ones. These ones are pretty cool.
Yep. I have a lot of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And then the Been There ones are the even newer ones. And then the first one I ever got was in London, and it was the really tall one where the letters are like the same height as the mug and wrap around the whole mug, and it's very white.
That one's cool.
And then I had it in storage for a while, and so when I got my next mug, I was trying to decide between, wait, I don't remember which one I got. Did I get the shorter one with the color, or did I get the taller white one? And I thought, I definitely got the shorter one with the color. And so then I started collecting a bunch of those, and then was unpacking at one point and found like, oh, nope. So I have that one London one that's different. But,
It's special.
you know, at this point, it's just like, they're all the Starbucks mugs, and they're going to keep changing their line anyway. So I'm okay with that, I guess.
Okay.
I have to be.
I did. And Ryan, do you also collect Starbucks mugs?
I mean, yes, I wouldn't say like yes, I collect them, but not in a like overly religious way. Like I don't do, but the biggest souvenir that I do is pictures. I just take hundreds and hundreds of pictures, and I'm not a photographer, so like I'm taking pictures with my phone, right? So it's not like I lug really cool equipment around or anything like that, but that's what I do for the most part as far as souvenirs for me. But I definitely do get the Starbucks mugs if I see them. So like when I was in Ireland, I got 2 because I got one in the Republic of Ireland, and then I got one in Northern Ireland because
Attaboy.
those are different countries.
Check them off on the Bin app.
Yep.
Also, I found this is Ryan's A380 double decker beautiful.
Oh, it does. It goes all the way back.
all the way back. She's a big
I don't
girl.
think I've ever seen a double decker all the way.
They don't.
I love that this is an audio medium, and so like our listeners are just hearing that you found an airplane.
Oh, it's okay. I imagine that they checked out a long time ago from hearing me talk. This is the Dreamliner. This is my Dreamliner airplane.
That is your Dreamliner airplane model.
Yes. It is a British Airways Boeing 787-8. Anyways.
You are a nerd.
I'm a huge
You
nerd. I'm
confirmed
okay with it.
You proved it in case anyone was skeptical about it.
Oh, I believe that we're going to be cutting all of the parts out that make me look super nerdy so that I look like a real cool guy. Like,
keep believing that.
all right, I'm going to
That
just
sounds great.
leave this in. And then I guess my last quick fire question is how do you guys track your travel, or do you track your travel? Do you have like pin boards? Do you keep your ticket receipts? Do you have apps that like show the flights you've taken?
Well, let me tell you about this cool app that I have. It's called Ben, and no, I have a pin board. I have a world map with pins, and I had multicolor pins, and now part of like being in a relationship or whatever is that I changed the colors. So now the red ones are where I have been, the blue ones are where Daryl has been, and the purple ones are if we've both been there. And so, now it's a fun, like, collective travel tracking. But also I was like, I still want to distinguish where I have been. And so that's why we did the different colors. So
That's awesome.
yes, that's how I do it. Yeah.
Pin map. I like that.
Ryan?
I use my brain to remember where I've been.
And this podcast.
And now
kind
this
of now.
podcast.
Yeah.
And then I had this friend who's pretty cool who told me about a couple other apps not that long ago that I downloaded on my phone to keep track of stuff. So, but I haven't had a chance to like go in and really make those work in enough detail yet. No, but I think because the majority of my travel is with groups, right? Whether it's through, usually with students of some kind, whether it's, through with the English camps, like we talked about, Alex, or with students from school or whatever. And so typically I can remember which trips based on which group I went with, because those are usually triggers for me on remembering those sorts of things. And then I think really the other thing for me is my pictures, because I have all my photos backed up on Google Photo, and Google Photos puts it in a timeline. And so I can go through with going through years and actually go back to that year and see where have I been, who was I with, what pictures did I take, that sort of thing. So it kind of all connects because I take so many pictures and then back them up. Like it's a way for me to go back and remember what a trip is like. So oftentimes on this podcast, actually, if we do like the Wish You Were Here's, which I promise listeners we will get to in this episode, I promise. But when we do those, oftentimes, if whatever the place is, I'll actually have Google Photos up on my laptop, and I'll be looking at the photos as I'm describing it and as I'm talking about it, because that will remind me of like what that experience was. And even though like photos don't necessarily capture emotions or like the full experience, just seeing those things often can remind me enough and bring me back to that trip and those places to help me remember kind of like what I felt or what I was thinking at the time, or events, or maybe I was super tired or I was grouchy, or whatever the case was. Usually I tend to remember those when I see the pictures.
Awesome. I love that. Well, that's all of my quickfire questions. For the sake of time, not for the sake of interest.
Oh my goodness. We're going to have you back on and just like chat, I think, about travel, because that was really fun. And now I just want to keep talking about these different things.
Right?
Man, you should start a podcast or something. Jeez.
I don't know. I don't know that we have enough stuff to do a whole podcast about.
Oh,
Okay, so speaking of Wish You Were Here, let's move to the last segment of the podcast called Wish You Were Here. During this section, each of the three of us is going to share about a specific travel attraction from the different places that we've been. And it's just like a quick little snapshot of one cool thing in some place that we've been. It's kind of like a little postcard. If you have like just that one little picture and it says Wish You Were Here. So, Alex, what would you like to do for your Wish You
Oh,
Were Here?
making me start.
I mean, you don't have to.
Ryan, what would you do for the Wish You Were Here?
Oh, I never start. This will be fun. So, because I've very recently been in Ireland, a lot of my Wish You Were Here's are going to be from Ireland. So this one is actually from Northern Ireland in Belfast. And I did not know this until I went there, but did you know that C.S. Lewis was actually born in Belfast?
But what?
really?
Yeah, I had no idea. So there is just in Belfast somewhere, I don't know the geography super well, but there is what they call C.S. Lewis Square, and it's just this little tiny kind of like mini park. There's some grassy areas, and then there's kind of a cement thing. There were some kids that were, you know, like elementary kids, like they were skateboarding and stuff in kind of one of the flat cement areas. But what they have is they have a C.S. Lewis sculpture park. And so they have these metal sculptures of characters from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And so they're like in kind of different places throughout this park. They have Aslan is like huge, big, and they have, let's see if I can remember them. There's Aslan, and there is the White Witch. Mr. Tumnus is there. They've got Mr. and Mrs. Beaver. They have Morgrim, the wolf.
Oh, yeah.
That like, yep. So he's kind of freaky and scary. And they have is it the Robin? I think, which I did not remember. I was like, I gotta read, because each one has a little plaque that tells you a little bit about it. They have the stone table, which is really cool.
Cool.
And then actually, I think what is technically the beginning of the whole thing, but we kind of found it at the end, is really cool. They have a kind of a life-size wardrobe with then a statue of C.S. Lewis like opening like the door to the wardrobe.
Oh, that's super neat.
Which is really cool. And then on the back of it, these are all like metal sculptures, right? So on the back of it, they've got a couple of different, like one of them was like a letter that C.S. Lewis wrote to someone, like I think a woman who had like written to him or whatever. And it's kind of in his words, descriptions of what his purpose was in writing the books and some of those things. So it's this, like, it's, you know, you could spend 5 minutes there, you could spend a half an hour there, it's kind of up to you, but it was this cool spot of, I mean, I think most people are at least vaguely familiar of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and so I just thought it was really cool to kind of recognize that and just kind of pull you into the world of Narnia a little bit, which was cool.
I love that.
That's
I wanna
awesome.
go.
Okay. I mean, you could drive up to Belfast when you're in Dublin. It's not that far.
We were already thinking of taking a day trip there, so that's.
See, I figured.
I think that's definitely on the list now of things to do there. All right, Cheryl.
I'm so happy that we have a third host for this.
I was going to say, I feel like we've lost our podcast, Cheryl.
Yeah. It's been commandeered, but I'm okay with
That's
that.
okay. It's being run well.
So mine this week is in Seattle. It is called Cafe Mox. Are either of you familiar with Cafe Mox? So
No.
Cafe Mox is a board game bar.
Oh.
So it is the best kind of bar. So there's one in the neighborhood called Ballard, and then now there's actually one in Bellevue as well, which I have not gone to the Bellevue location.
Is that
yet.
one in downtown? Bellevue?
No, it's not. But so it is a bar where you can order food and drinks and all the usual things, and then they have a shelf of like all of the board games, and you go pick one out and play it at your table and do another one and would do whatever you want to do. And just board games are accessible to be used while you're there, which is so fun. And it's attached to a game store. And you can also do that in the game store. And so sometimes there's a long wait. And so you can give them your number and they'll text you when there's a table ready. And in the meantime, you go to the game store and get a game started and then just move over to the bar. And then, you know, when you have a table and everything, you can also order private rooms. So that's really fun for like, my brother-in-law did that for his birthday one year. And that was really great. And you know, good food and drinks too, which is also great. So, but it's a fun way to like check out some new games with friends. And so, yeah, I'd recommend going to Cafe Mox.
That's awesome. I actually have been there. Now that I just didn't recognize the name. It's a really cool place. I went to the Bellevue one.
Oh, very cool.
So where in Bellevue is it?
It's on Bellred Road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's where Google Maps directs me. Right
Local.
right around there.
Local directions. Very specific.
Okay, Alex, how about you?
Ryan, I thought long and hard about this. And so my favorite director of all time is Miyazaki. I just love the animated worlds that he creates. And one of my favorite movies from him is Spirited Away. And so I learned when we were in Taipei that one of the scenes of kind of this marketplace was modeled after these old streets in Taipei. So my thing today is the Shifen Old Street in Taipei. It's like a 30-minute drive outside of Taipei, and you kind of pull up, and it's basically a market that's kind of an alleyway between buildings that just winds through blocks and blocks and blocks of the city. And you can go into the buildings, and there's, you know, one store will be a restaurant, and the other one will be selling kitchenware and cookware, and then there will be a bar, and then there will be a knick-knack store, and then a model airplane store, and there's just all types of different stores. And then kind of lining the street, there's all of these food vendors, and so you'll have like roasted chestnuts, and I mean, there were a bunch of kind of like wild exotic foods there as well, like blood pudding and stinky tofu, which is just stinky tofu. It smells awful for like 100 feet in either direction. But it was a really, really, really neat place to go and see. And it's super, super crowded. So you're in really tight quarters with all of these people going around. And it was raining when we were there. So it was like umbrellas and people and raincoats and like all of the smells and all of the sights and all of the sounds. And it was really cool I would call it an immersive market experience, because all of your senses were just going at full bore. And we ended up getting a really cool meal with some broiled beef noodles, and so it was like really cool. And then going back and watching Spirited Away to see kind of the way that Miyazaki art directed the stalls and the people and the food and the drink and the sounds was all very, very cool. So that's a place that I would definitely recommend if you're anywhere near Taipei, to head out to one or two of the old streets in the areas just to get to experience that for yourself.
Love it. That's awesome. Well, Alex, thanks so much for being on our podcast. We loved having you. That was very fun.
Well, thanks for having me.
Do you have anything that you'd like to plug?
No, nothing I want to really plug. Oh, sorry, the Bin app. Cool. BEEN. No.
Oh, yeah.
No, nothing to plug. Although there is an app called App in the Air, and what you can do is you can download it, and it basically will go through, and anytime you have a travel itinerary or anything sent to your email, it'll import it into the program. And it, as you travel more and more, there's a map, and it can like put routes that you've flown and countries that you've been to, and you can also compare of how you're doing every year against your friends. So right now, Ryan and I are in competition here. I currently have 2 friends that travel more than I do, so I'm trying to catch up.
I am not one of them.
I'm trying to catch up, but I don't think there's any way. But No, yeah, App in the Air is a super cool app if you want to kind of. The goal is in a few years to be able to look back and see, oh, look at all these cool places that I've been. So, anyways,
That's cool.
that doesn't really a plug
Nice.
though. I don't have anything to plug. Take all
fine.
of that out. The
Yeah.
real answer is, nope, nothing to plug this time. So, thank you all so much for stopping by our podcast. This is the Take Me With You podcast. I'm Alex, your substitute host. We really hope that you enjoyed Ryan and Cheryl's answer here. Have a great week, and we'll be busy at work editing the next one. Thank you, everybody, and travel safe. Oh, sorry. Did you guys have anything to plug?
Oh, yes, actually. If you would like to follow us on social media, we are at Timwy Podcast. That's TMWY Podcast for Take Me With You. We are on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. We would love to have you follow us. Maybe Alex would be kind enough to share some pictures with us from his travels that he shared about, and we could post those on our account so you guys could see some of the cool things, maybe some of those like creepy eye houses, or like Count Dracula's
they were
castle,
cute.
or I don't know if you even got any pictures, probably not, of like the dance.
At
all.
There might be some pictures in there. They might be embarrassing. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, then they're definitely going on there.
Awesome. So you definitely want to follow us on social
Oh.
media, so do that.
Boy, oh
Yep.
boy.
You can also email us at timwepodcast@gmail.com and send us your travel stories. What crazy dance party did you find in a foreign country? We would love to hear about it.
Yes, we would. You can also call us and leave us a voicemail at 406-763-8699. Or if it's easier to remember, 406-POD. Timwy, maybe you have a set of rapid-fire questions you would like to ask us. We would love
Ooh,
to have
we'll
you
answer
ask
them.
us via voicemail. That would be great.
Or
We
you can
would
also send us
appreciate it-
snail mail postcards at 1445 West 25th Street, Los Angeles, California. Make them out to Timwy Podcast, and we promise that they will definitely be collected and displayed on one of the three hosts' walls.
Please also rate and review us on whatever you're using to listen to this podcast. And if you do not review this episode highly, then you probably should just stop listening right now, because this is amazing. And then subscribe, because you never know when Alex is going to be back on again, and you do not want to miss that. And we would love it if you would share this episode on social media so other people can have the same amazing experience that you just had.
As always, thank you to Beth Reed Miller for our awesome artwork. You can check out more of her artwork at Beth Is Something. Thank you to Erica Corbin for the use of her song Round the Globe. You can check out more of Erica's music wherever music is sold or streamed.
All right, so that is going to do it for this week's podcast. Alex, thank you so much for being our co-host this week.
Thanks for being on my show. I appreciate it, guys.
Hopefully you'll invite us back at some point in the future.
I hope so. I really hope so.
You guys have been fun. Thank you so much for everything.
All right, so that is going to do it for this week. So until next time, remember to take me with you.
Take me with you.
Take me with you.
Can we get a sailboat chasing down the sunset as we float round and round the globe? Salty air and balmy nights, guided only by the lights above, and a little love. Oh, the world is out there waiting to explore, and all our troubles here wanting to be